So we've got our folks in. It's about 12:30 and we are recording, so I'm going to jump right into it. So hi everyone, and welcome to the first part of our mini-series for business owners of color. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the indigenous communities in the state of New Mexico. This event may be virtual, but our state sits on sacred land that is home to many tribal communities whose ancestors were here long before us. We honor and respect the Native people of New Mexico whose descendants remain and continue their legacy. It's important that we acknowledge our responsibility in making sure Native American communities are recognized and never forgotten. I'd also like to acknowledge our communities of color. New Mexico is rich with cultural history, and we have a duty to honor the multitude of multicultural peoples that exist widely throughout our state. My name is Shawnee Harvey, and I'm the Executive Assistant to Cabinet Secretary Alicia J. Keys here at New Mexico Economic Development. I'm going to hand it off to the Secretary to say a few words, and then we'll get started. Secretary?
Thanks, Shawnee, and thank you everyone for coming today. We're really excited to help the vibrant talent across the state leverage available resources and information to create thriving small businesses with better access to economic opportunity. The Economic Development Department is pleased to offer New Mexicans insights to help create an economic foundation for businesses through resources like the ones found in this series and help uplift communities, creating a truly supportive base on which New Mexico can step into its full potential. Small businesses with less than 20 employees make up 89% of all businesses in the country. And at EDD, we have a responsibility to make sure all New Mexicans have the opportunity to build a business with confidence. We hope that in this series, you can find valuable information to help increase your own economic opportunity and to improve the lives of New Mexicans everywhere. So thank you for being with us today. And I just have to say, this is amazing that Shawnee has put this together. And I want to thank all the panelists that are here today too. Shawnee, when I first met her, she walked into the room and I was like, that is my lady. That is the person that I want on, helping me every single day and by my side. So it's a real honor to see you host this, and also for the other EDD members like Joanna Nelson who helped you. Thank you guys so much. And we're just excited that this seminar is part of our EDD family. So thank you, Shawnee. She might have frozen. Hold on. Are you frozen? There you are. Okay.
I'm here. I'm back. I'm so sorry. So thank you, Secretary. With our state in its minority-majority position, there's absolutely no reason that our multicultural businesses should be falling through the cracks. And with this in mind, I put together this series with the help of some fabulous people on the economic development team, community organizations, and input from community members, because I wanted to make sure that our Black, Indigenous, and multiculturally owned businesses have the resources that they need to build their businesses, whether you're just starting out or already seasoned. At the end of today's presentation, I'll have my contact info up, so if you have follow-up questions, feedback, or ideas, please don't hesitate to reach out. I did this with our New Mexican community in mind, so without taking too long, let's go ahead and get started with our first presentation, Effective Financial Tools for Small Business, Cdfis and Credit Unions. So, with the uncertainty and nervousness going around, I just wanted to make sure that we're giving you guys an idea of all the resources that are available for your support at this time. Many of the organizations that we'll cover in this series are involved in the options that you'll see on your screen. And there's tons of different programs available to help you navigate these unpredictable waters of business. Please make sure to call our office or the folks on our hotline so that they can connect and point you towards an option that will work for you. We're not going to have time to address these programs specifically today, but if you go to our website, gonm.biz, We have a link with all our COVID-19 resources, as well as access to previous webinars, where we talked in detail about some of these programs. And you can also sign up for our mailing list, where we send out a weekly resource wrap-up that will have all the current resources and options for business owners. So let's get started. So today we're going to be looking at community development financial institutions, which are more commonly known as Cdfis, as well as credit unions. These kinds of financial institutions should absolutely be your first stop when venturing into the business world. We're going to go through the who, what, where, when, why, and how, as well as talk to some representatives of these institutions so we can get a fuller understanding straight from the experts. Today we'll be hearing from the Cdfi DreamSpring with Isaac and Meta, and we'll also be talking to Sandia Area Federal Credit Union with Collateral. Today's focus is going to be on financial and lending information, and we're going to get into technical business assistance and additional resources in part 2 of the mini-series, Tools to Help Your Business Flourish. So if you haven't registered for part 2 yet, make sure that after this, you go ahead and head to our website and sign up for part 2, which will be Friday, December 11th, 12:30, same time, here at the same place. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this party started. So what the heck are Cdfis? I know what a credit union is. What's the point? Why am I here today? What do they even do? Well, typically when we're looking into starting a business, the biggest fear that folks will have is around access to capital. In the US, there tends to be a culture of anxiety around money, so going to a traditional bank can be a headache and a source of stress, especially if we're not familiar with how they operate or if we've got some reservations when we're thinking about our own financial history. So if those concerns sound a little bit familiar to you, Cdfis and credit unions are going to be an absolutely great option for you as a business owner or as a future business owner. And these are also really fantastic tools for your individual finances. Folks typically hear Cdfi and credit union, and it probably gets linked to this idea of general banking. But Cdfis and credit unions are actually alternatives to big banking lenders. They're much more accessible and practical for communities of color that have historically had a harder time doing business in traditional banking institutions. So let's talk a little bit about Cdfis. Cdfis are financial institutions that are designed to serve underrepresented and underserved populations by providing equitable access to investment capital and financial services, and that's according to the Cdfi Fund, which was created by the federal government in 1994 under the Regal Community Development and Regulatory Improvement Act, in case by receiving a mix of federal and private funding that gets distributed to business owners and future business owners just like you. They provide assistance and financial assistance for a ton of different industries as well as a bunch of different purposes. So that's Cdfis in a nutshell, and we'll get into who they are and what they offer here in a bit. Moving on to credit unions. Credit unions are community-oriented, member-owned, and the biggest stressor are they are not the same. Okay, I think my audio might have cut out. So banks, credit unions are absolutely not the same. So though they might seem similar, credit unions actually use their profits to benefit the communities that they serve. So they're an absolutely fantastic choice if keeping things local or corporate social responsibility is one of the things that you consider when you're thinking about who you want to do business with. So Cdfis and credit unions are a great option and alternative for finding financing and funding as opposed to traditional banking because interest rates are going to be lower across the board. And they also have different qualifiers for funding. So if you're looking for lenders that place less weight on things like your credit history and credit score and offer lower interest rates on loans and higher rates of interest on savings and investment accounts, I highly, highly suggest that you take a look into these alternative financial institutions. So Now that you know why CDFIs and credit unions are a better option for you as a business owner, let's talk about what they offer. There's tons of different services for microloans, mortgages, down payment assistance for buying a home. The list really goes on. And it's likely that whatever you're looking for in terms of help with your business, there is an alternative financial institution that can help you meet your goal. It doesn't matter if you're online, artistic, retail, manufacturing-based, service industry, or hospitality, there is absolutely alternative lenders that can offer competitive loans and services that will help bolster your business without relying on friends and family to fund your next big idea. So just a note about the personal services that are offered by CDFIs and credit unions. I'll talk a little bit about that today, but because we are oriented towards business owners today, I won't get too far into it, but I just want you guys to know that CDFIs and credit unions are not only great for small business, but they're also really, really great for individuals and families. So now let's talk a little bit about the CDFI landscape in the state of New Mexico. On this slide, you're going to see all the CDFIs that I pulled from the Cdfi fund that are physically housed in our state. There's tons of CDFIs outside of the state that will still serve New Mexico businesses, but I really wanted to focus on what we've got going on inside our borders for this presentation. And there's also a handful of credit unions that also are certified CDFIs, but I'm not necessarily going to talk about those in detail today. So on our slide here, we've got DreamSpring, who is one of our awesome presenters today. So I'm not going to steal their thunder, but they are a certified CDFI. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about New Senda. New Senda is certified as a CDFI through their foundation, and they've got a really cool co-op capital program where they've partnered with another organization called City Alive, where they have a micro loan program for entrepreneurs of color in Albuquerque. Next up, I'd like to talk a little bit about West. They're an absolutely awesome organization, and we'll hear a lot from them in part 2 on business resources. But as far as their financial options go, West is a microlender that offers regular business loans, technology loans, and even small loans of $500 and under that can help build up your credit history. So these loans are really interesting because they're small enough that you can use expected income to boost your credit. So you get to start small with something like $500 and under, as opposed to taking out a $10,000 loan and being like, I don't know how I'm ever going to pay that back. Don't do that. Start small. You can use expected income that you know already is going to come into your business. Instead of paying that money out of pocket, you put it into a loan, and then you can pay that back. You're not stressed about it. You know that money's coming, and you can boost your financial portfolio in the process. So really incredible tool for people who might be unfamiliar with debt and loan financing. Next up, I'd like to talk a little bit about the loan fund. They are in our center column here at the bottom with the blue mountains and sun. They've got awesome business loans for things like startups and nonprofits, and they can help you do things like finance equipment, inventory, if you need financing for renovations, or you need operational capital, as well as business expansion. Next up, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Ventana Fund. They are in this fancy red ring down in our third column, third down, and they are a loan provider for early construction projects. So if you're looking at doing something like acquiring and rehabilitating a piece of property or looking to build brand new affordable housing, this would be an awesome CDFI for you to look into. And they're actually very similar to the Tierra del Sol Housing Corporation, which is in our first column, and they've got the real nice adobe and purple and sunrise happening. So they also offer capital for construction projects, for equipment and refinancing in rural and urban areas of New Mexico. And they also offer business loans for Doña Ana, Otero, and Luna counties. So there's a couple of other housing CDFIs on here that I want to briefly mention. That's the Santa Fe Community Housing Trust and HomeWise. These CDFIs aren't necessarily specific to business, but they do help with things like down payment assistance, mortgage assistance. They can help you with financing for renovations, if you need help buying, selling, and even refinancing. And they're a really fantastic tool for individuals and families. So if property and real assets is something you've got in the back of your mind, Tierra del Sol and Ventana, as well as these housing CDFIs, HomeWise and Santa Fe Community Housing Trust are going to be a great option for you. So next up, I'd like to talk a little bit about Tiwa Lending Services. They are a native serving CDFI for the Isleta Pueblo community, and they offer microloans to tribal members who are looking to build or expand a business, and they can also connect the community with additional resources and options depending on the individual case. Next is Native Community Capital, which I've also heard referred to as Native Community Finance. They offer business loans for acquisition, loans for construction and renovation, working capital, as well as business expansion to members of federally and state recognized tribes. And if you're a member of the Indigenous community, it's always great to explore the options that you've got right in your neighborhood, because oftentimes these kinds of organizations will be familiar with the challenges that that community faces, and they'll also know which resources have worked well for that community. And better yet, when you do use these offices that are by the community for the community, you can keep resources, dollars, experience, and understanding circulating back to friends and family and the community as a whole. So if there was a Black-owned financial institution that had a brick and mortar space here in New Mexico, I would definitely be pitching that to you guys right now. But unfortunately, I'm not aware of any of the institutions that meet that qualification. There's definitely a ton of amazing Black-led organizations throughout our state, but that's for a topic for another time. So if anyone on the call is interested in becoming, the first Black-owned financial institution in New Mexico, I am very glad to have planted that seed in your mind. All right, next one I'd like to talk about is the Clearinghouse Cdfi. And they're a great option for business owners or entrepreneurs who are looking to uplift their community. And they offer community development loans for projects that will create jobs, provide security, and improve the lives in your community. So whether you're looking to construct the next generation of localized schooling, or trying to build an affordable housing in your community, or just get your small business off the ground and into a physical office, the Clearinghouse is another option that's available to you. They look at projects in terms of community impact and profitability, and they also consider projects that will take place outside the scope of a predefined loan program. This is important because a lot of times people will have, they've got an idea for a business, but they think, you know what, it doesn't fit neatly into the mold, so I'm not going to go for it. Don't do that. Your ideas deserve to be birthed into the world, and there's absolutely alternative lenders out here that will consider your project no matter how off the cuff or fringe you think it is. Trust me, these organizations are for these communities. Again, lower rates of interest on loans, higher rates of return on savings and investment accounts. And these are alternative lenders. They are here for the things that don't fit neatly into the traditional financial system. Last but not least, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Lyft Fund, and they've also got a ton of great services that we'll get into part two. But for financial assistance, they offer services for loans for startups, if you're looking at purchasing a business, as well as if you're looking at purchasing equipment, if you need help with supply and inventory, a restaurant loan, and more. So those are some of the CDFIs here in our state. They've got tons of awesome things that they can offer you. And again, community-oriented, community-minded. That's the point of these organizations. So it's always really great when you can get that really close personal experience. So moving forward, I'd like to talk a little bit about the credit unions. And wow, they are absolutely everywhere. It doesn't matter what canyon, what corner, what county that you're in, somewhere in the state, there is absolutely a credit union out here that will serve your needs as a business owner. You don't have to think that you have to be using a big bank when you're running your business. That's absolutely not the case. There's tons of ways to keep it local and keep it tailored to your needs as a business owner. So, back again, using a credit union is a fantastic alternative because, again, they use the money that's coming in is going back into the community. It's going back into the state. It's not going across state lines. Credit unions are really based around their community. So it's, you know, just an awesome way to bank, and you're going to find better savings accounts returns, unlike the 0.0001% that we're getting from some of the big traditional lenders right now. That's not what you're going to get at a credit union. You're going to get a more comfortable and personalized experience by New Mexicans for New Mexicans. It's really, really incredible. So that's enough from me. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. We're going to talk to our guest presenters. We've got DreamSpring with us. We've got Isaac and Meta with us today. And then we'll also be hearing from Sandia Area Federal Credit Union with Qatar. We're going to hear from our presenters, and then we'll go ahead and open it up to your guys' questions. And, you know, be thinking about your business, be thinking about your friend that wants to start a business, be thinking about the friend that's already in business. How do these apply? What kind of questions do you guys have? So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to DreamSpring with Isaac and Meta, and they will take it from here.
Thank you, Shawnee. Great presentation. First of all, I want to say that I'm happy to be here and happy to have this opportunity to talk to people a little bit about the organization and what it kind of means to basically our organization and kind of our vision, our mission, and kind of what it is we do. My name is Isaac Crow, and I have actually been employed for DreamSpring for about 2 years now. And I love it. The mission and the assistance that we get to business owners is incredible. The impact that we've been making, especially through this, through 2020, has been remarkable. We've been able to do about $33 million in PPP funding here in New Mexico, which I think is awesome. We have a talented, diverse team here at DreamSpring who are all aligned with our vision and mission, which makes it easy for us to adjust, easier for us to adjust, not necessarily easy, but it's easier for us to adjust with the changes in the economy. That being said, let's go ahead and move to the next slide. All right, so who we are. We are a Cdfi, as Shawnee was mentioning earlier, 501c3 nonprofit business lender. We're dedicated to supporting entrepreneurs in their endeavors. Our mission is to increase access to business capital, make loans, and provide training and support for entrepreneurs so that they can realize their dreams and be positive catalysts for change in the community. We're headquartered here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We started here in 1994. Our CEO, Ann Haynes, the max loan she could do back then was $10,000. We've increased the capacity substantially since then, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. We're active in 17 states, including New Mexico. Next slide, please. And we help women, minorities, small business owners gain access to safe credit. So basically, what that means is, some clients come to us with no experience or no credit history or no experience really with, the terms to the loans, interest rates. So what we do is we kind of hold their hand through the process and have them work their way up as far as like the amount of money they can receive and amount of credit they can receive. Other times, clients have great credit, but they've only been in business, like they're a startup, they've only been in business for a year, so they don't have the necessary documentation, the financial documents to qualify at a normal financial institution. So they end up going to a high risk, high interest business lender. And a lot of times it's like way over like 30%, 25, 30% interest rates, which is crazy. So we want to provide lower interest loans for startups and entrepreneurs. We work with community partners to educate entrepreneurs. So organizations like West, So quick story here. I actually had a client come to me for a $15,000 loan request, and she was looking to start a home cake business. When she came to me, she knew she had good credit. You know, she had some income, extra income coming in, but what she didn't have was a business plan. She didn't really know the marketing strategy. She was trying to look into like social media marketing, but she didn't really have a good grasp on what direction she really wanted to go. So I was actually able to refer her to West, and they were able to help her figure out everything she needed to figure out so she could then come back to us for a business loan. We have funded over 17,000 business loans in the life of the organization. Our business loans range from $5,500 to $250,000. Under normal circumstances, you know, it's 1,000 to 2 million, but we've had to change a little bit. But hopefully, here soon, we'll be able to go back to that 1,000 to 2 million range. We have unsecured and secured options. Our unsecured options go up to 50,000, and our secured options go up to 250,000. Like I said before, we do startup loans up to 100,000. Our starting FICO score is 670. Now that's gone up from 550. And the reason it's gone up is because of 2020, right? Hopefully that's going to go back down to 550 or at least somewhere close to that number, because we're really dedicated to helping, you know, clients who, need credit rehabilitation, who, you know, have credit challenges and stuff like that. That's part of our mission too. But right now it's just kind of like we have to up the FICO range just because of what's going on in today's society. We actually do loans for I-10 borrowers as well. So if you know anybody, or if you have an I-10 number, we can lend to you just as if you had a social security number. We do SBA loans, 7A community advantage loans. We've done a ton of PPP loans, as I mentioned before. And the last thing I want to say, we're client focused. We want to make sure that when clients come to our door and they come to us, we want to make sure that they know exactly what they're getting into as far as business loans. So they're going to know the terms, you're going to know the interest rates, and you're not going to leave out of the door with more questions than you came in. The things that we look at to make sure that we're not putting you in a bad situation by giving you a loan, we look at your business income, your personal income, your debt, your business debt, and your cash flow. And these things kind of help us determine what's a good loan size for you. And then we also determine, like, okay, your monthly payment based on your cash flow, to make sure we're not putting you in a position to fail, because our goal is to have client success. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Meta Smith. She is the Vice President of Lending here at DreamSpring, and she's been with the organization for about 10 years, so she knows a lot. And so I'll turn it over to her without further ado.
Thanks, Isaac. And Shani, can we move to the next slide? So as Isaac mentioned, we are focused on client success, and our clients, they mean the world to us. It's why we do this work. We're so focused on supporting entrepreneurs. So I wanted to just share a quick client story. This is our client, Shirley Pina. She's a member of the Santa Ana Pueblo, and she has a business called Red Wing Design. When she first started her business back in 2005, she needed some more powerful sewing equipment because, as I mentioned, she's a clothing designer. And so she came to us for a small loan to buy a new sewing machine. And she is a mother, a grandmother, and she's also a business owner. I know sometimes people who are in the field of art don't necessarily think of themselves as entrepreneurs, but if you're selling your goods, you're an entrepreneur and we want to work with you. And Shirley has been a wonderful client for us. We love telling her story. In the last 5 years that she's been with us, she's improved her FICO score by 132 points. That's so important to us to work with our clients to not only get them capital, but help them grow their business, make it more successful, and grow their FICO score so that they can get lower interest rates, not just on their business loans, but also on their personal loans like mortgages and auto loans. She, as I mentioned, she's been a client of ours since 2005, has taken out several loans with us over that time, and we've so enjoyed working with her. She's a very typical client of DreamSpring, a one-woman shop that has survived 2020 by shifting her business model from making clothes for people and for the local tribes to making face masks. So she's a successful entrepreneur, and we've really enjoyed working with her. So with that, we've wrapped up the presentation for DreamSpring. I know we'll have questions at the end, and we'd be happy to answer those for you at the time when Shani says it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Isaac and Meta and to DreamSpring for being here with us today. You guys are an absolutely fantastic CDFI, and they do a lot of work with the community, and there is alternatives out here for finding financing. Seriously, like, take a look. We're here. They're out there. So next, I'm going to hand it over to Kautar with Sandia Area Federal Credit Union.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Kautar El Alawi, and I'm the Business Development Commercial Services Officer at Sandia Area Federal Credit Union. I'll be talking about the business banking products and services. So next slide. So I'll start by introducing Sandia Area Federal Credit Union and how to become a member. Then I'll explain to you what I do, what are the different business banking products and services, and lastly, I'll touch on our core values and our competitive advantage. Next slide, Shani. All right, so Sandia Area Federal Credit Union was established in 1956. We are ranked number 5 largest credit union in New Mexico in terms of our asset dollars. We're currently sitting at close to $850 million in assets. And I'm happy to say that recently we've been recognized by the prestigious Forbes magazine as one of the best credit unions in New Mexico. We are also member owned. What that means is that members have voting rights. They vote on the board of directors, who then, help in the direction of the credit union. Next slide. So how do you become a member? Sandia Area Federal Credit Union accepts membership from anyone who lives, works, worships, attends school, or does business within the Bernalillo County, the city of Rio Rancho, Cibola County, Torrance County, or Valencia County. We've also extended our membership to include people and businesses who adhere to the permaculture values, which are care of the earth, care of people, and reinvesting the surplus for the benefits of earth and people. People who have completed a permaculture design course or who are members of a regional permaculture institute that we affiliate with are also welcome to join. And lastly, if you are an immediate family member of a Sandia area member, then we will accept your membership as well. Next slide. All right, so now this is the part where I'll be talking about myself. Again, for the sake of remembering, my name is Kautar El Alawi. I'm the Commercial Services Officer at Sandia Area Federal Credit Union with a special focus on growing business deposits. So I manage the current business banking relationship. I also develop new business through outreach, networking, referrals, building relationships with the business community, and also self-branding. I'm known for my unique personality that my diverse and international background brings. I've actually worked and lived in North Africa, Europe, and USA. I speak 4 languages, and I've interacted with people from different walks of life, making me a world citizen with both passion and compassion. As far as banking goes, I've been in banking for over 4 years. I worked for both a national bank and a credit union, and I'm known to be a top performer who always goes above and beyond for her clients. My commitment to business members is to provide them with a personalized service, connect them with the right resources, help them with their cash flow management, and make sure they achieve their financial goals. Next slide. As far as business banking products and services, so Sandia area has a variety of products. We've got deposit accounts from checking accounts, money market accounts, CDs. We've got the technology, online and mobile banking with the possibility of doing mobile deposits, signing up for e-statements, which goes back into supporting our permaculture values and, not wasting paper. You can do external transfers, and for businesses who process a lot of checks, they can get a remote deposit equipment to help them deposit checks from the convenience of their office. On top of the call center, we've added a chat and text option to contact us, and we offer a hassle-free account opening process that can be done either in person or remotely. Currently, because of the pandemic, we do appreciate appointments for in-person interactions, but we do encourage any transaction to be done remotely if it can be done that way. Next slide, please. As far as lending goes, so we're experts in commercial real estate lending and in vehicles. We also lend on some equipment. We offer businesses a business line of credit, business credit card, and if you have a business account with us, you can definitely get a business debit card that's linked to your account. Wires can be done in person or over the phone. Over the phone wires follow a certain process to minimize risk and avoid fraud. We can connect you with our merchant services partner, and we are part of the See You Anytime network. Next slide. All right, this is actually my favorite slide. So as far as our core values and competitive advantage, the first one being diversity and inclusion. We are a diverse team. I'm actually originally from Morocco. One of our loan analysts is from Ecuador. We've got a team member from Italy, Mexico, and different, countries. So we have an enriched environment which allows us to get a broader perspective. Aside from this, we're also part of diverse groups. We are members of the African American Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce. We're also members of the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, among other chambers and organizations. And we serve different communities. We serve a community of color. We serve Hispanics. We serve everyone who needs help. We are here to help them. The next core value is that we believe in reinvesting the surplus in our local economy. So we invest in local communities such as the storehouse. We support the storehouse throughout the year by doing different fundraisers and volunteer hours and so on and so forth. We do support multitude of organizations, and if you'd like to look at a full list of whom we sponsor or whom we donate to, you can go to www.sandia.org/community. I did not write it down because it's easy to remember, but sandia.org/community. We are very heavy on permaculture, okay? And in fact, as a side note, we've been doing remote loan closing since 2015. So this is not something new that just happened, with the pandemic and introducing the remote, signatures. As far as permaculture goes, I want to tell you we are a hemp-friendly credit union. So we're open to banking hemp businesses. In our membership, we do have hemp growers, we have hemp manufacturers, we have hemp extractors and retailers. And lastly, we try our best to make doing business with us easy and pleasant. Next, please. So I don't know if I cut off or...
Is it showing for you?
It is not showing for me, but hopefully it's on. All right, now it's showing. Okay, so there are different reasons to start banking with the credit union. Like our slogan said, Sandia area is better banking without the bank. Okay, so we are local. You'll be dealing with local people. We invest in our local economy because we know that this is how to move forward. We are digital. We have the technology that would help you, succeed in your business, whether it's accessing your accounts, at other countries or other states, remote deposits, mobile banking, and we also save you money. So whatever savings that the credit union gets, it gets reinvested back into our members as well by offering lower rates on loans, higher returns on deposits, and fewer fees. And then lastly, at the bottom of this slide, you have my direct phone number. So that's my direct office number, as well as my email address. I'll be happy to address any questions that you may have. If you have questions, even for consumer banking, not necessarily for business banking, I'm a connector and I enjoy doing what's right for my people. So I'll make sure to connect you with the right department. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Qatar, and thank you to Sandia Area Federal Credit Union, and thank you to Isaac and Meta with DreamSpring. So glad to have you guys here today. Thank you for taking the time. And move to our next slide here, see what we got coming up. Oh my gosh, it's time. So if you haven't put your questions in the chat box, go ahead and get them in there. Don't destroy your keyboard like Kermit. But I've got Joanna Nelson, who is our Finance Development Specialist at Economic Development. She is going to go ahead and help us sort through the questions here. So Joanna, do you see anything coming up, and who should we give the first question to?
Great. Thank you, Shani. Yes, we have got some questions, and I do want to address one that has come up, and that is, will you send this presentation out post-webinar? And just want to clarify for everyone, once again, that we will send the presentation out, and we will also send out a link to the recording. So no fears. We have a question about, let me pull this up, and thanks very much. Okay. The first question that we got was, why do minority business owners remain underfunded for their small businesses? What are local organizations doing to change this story? So this is a pretty broad first question, and it'd be interesting to get your feedback on it.
So I'll jump in if that's okay, Joanna. Thank you. Yeah, that is exactly what DreamSpring's mission is all about. We know that there are underfunded businesses out there in the community, and our desire is to help those businesses get the capital they need to grow, expand, or sustain their business. I think one of the biggest challenges we face is just unawareness that there are other opportunities for entrepreneurs out there besides some of the more traditional financial institutions such as banks. I think for a lot of folks, maybe they hadn't heard of organizations like the Cdfis that were on the screen that Shani showed, whether it's the Loan Fund or West or DreamSpring. We're all focused on helping underserved entrepreneurs get their hands on the capital they need to support their businesses. Now, we are lending institutions, not necessarily, we don't do venture capital, but there are some other VCs out there in New Mexico. They're not necessarily focused on underserved entrepreneurs that I'm aware of, but there are VCs in New Mexico, not Cdfis though.
Great, thank you so much for that insight, Meta. And we had a question from, let's see, this is Graciela. Does anyone offer loans to pay off credit card debt?
Well, generally speaking, at Sandia area, if you apply for a business line of credit, you can draw money out of that business line of credit and use it to whatever need that you need to use it for, whether it's paying off a car or paying off a credit card, and then you're just going to have to pay back that business line of credit. But in a sense, if she's talking about debt consolidation like they do on the consumer side, generally we don't like to call it debt consolidation, because businesses usually who have good financial health, they won't need, we just reorganize the debt. How about that? So.
And at DreamSpring, if it's business credit cards, we can definitely look at refinancing that into a term note. We do business debt consolidation because we recognize that a lot of small businesses are started with personal credit cards. So let me rephrase that. If it's personal credit cards that have been used for the business, and we can verify that through credit card statements, etc., then we can absolutely refinance those personal credit cards into a business term loan. But again, we have to verify they were used for business expenses because we are purely a business lender.
Thank you. We have a question from Helen that is an interesting one that I know that Shawnee and I have been looking into, and curious if our panelists have any insight to this. But Helen's asking, are there any particular CDFIs in the state or nationally that cater to African American Black business owners? She has heard about Native Americans, but not African Americans. Do you guys have any insight into that?
Isaac, I think you're talking, but you're muted.
Okay, there we go. Now? Okay, awesome. Great. So we are actually partnered with the African American Chamber of Commerce. And through that partnership, we're able to, reach Black business owners. It's no like a surprise. There's not a ton of Black people in New Mexico, period. But that's kind of our channel to reach those entrepreneurs of African American descent. And my personal mission is to, within the organization, within DreamSpring, is to reach out to as many and empower as many Black entrepreneurs as possible with this, with loan funding and educational resources and stuff.
Great, thank you. And I know I just put a link to the African American Alliance of Cdfis in the chat box. So they, I know, have been very active recently with providing information about COVID relief. So this is a great resource to go to look at as well. And there is a question, really great questions. Keep them coming. We did have a question from Ashlyn about what tools does EDD have other than financial support for new businesses. So I'll take this opportunity to just share that, because we've gotten a few questions around business resource questions as well as grant information, and I do want to point folks to our webpage, and that's gonm.biz, and we have a COVID relief page that you can find information about relief programs happening currently. So I want to make sure that people go there. And then also, you can find information about the other programs that we have: our Local Economic Development Act, Job Training Incentive Program, grants for outdoor recreation businesses and projects, a collateral assistance program. You can find a variety of our resources and programs on our website. And I'll let Shawnee talk about plans for future
series topics. And we are not limited to only focusing on startup businesses. We will look at startup businesses as well as businesses that are already in operation.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in and let you guys know if we don't get to your questions today, we are going to pull everything after. So if you didn't hear an answer to your question, we are going to pull everyone's stuff and do our best to answer everyone's questions. And I do see some stuff in here around the resources and grants. So today is specifically focused on Cdfis and credit unions, but on December 11th, we will get into the technical business assistance and kind of the grant kind of and resources and startups, nonprofits, that kind of thing. And that will be there. And I also see a question on Native community capital. If it's for Native members only. I do believe that they are focused solely on the Native American population. I don't know, Joanna, if you know any different on that one.
You're correct. And let's see. A lot of the questions have been answered. I think some really great information was provided. If any of the panelists want to add any more insight into the idea that someone might have poor credit or they're a startup, just reiterating that possibly a CDFI or a credit union might be a good fit for that.
Yep, I can jump in there to start, but other folks feel free to add. Again, DreamSpring does work with startups. We have seen a really large volume of applications come in recently for startup businesses. There are definitely enterprising entrepreneurs out there who see an opportunity right now to start a business, and we're happy to work with those businesses. In terms of folks who have credit challenges, again, even if we aren't able to help at the moment, we certainly provide a lot of coaching on what needs to happen to help improve your credit score. And there are a variety of other small business resources out there in the community as well that can help you rebuild your credit, whether it's organizations like West or the Small Business Development Centers, as well as Money Management International, which is a nonprofit credit rebuilding organization. They do have a local office in New Mexico. So I'd encourage you to look for some of those resources. I also heard yesterday from some clients that Credit Karma was a great website to go to help rebuild your credit. It gives you lots of wonderful instructions and it is free. So there's a variety of options in terms of rebuilding your credit that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Meta. And just going through some of these, does anyone want to provide information on giving an idea of how interest rates are calculated with your type of organizations?
So at the credit union, we usually go off of the prime rate and then we add a margin to it. How much of a margin is added depends on the different underwriting factors. So we look at, the strength of the business, how it's been performing, the industry trend, the guarantors, credit, and all of that.
Yep, and we're very similar. We look at all of those underwriting factors as well to determine an interest rate.
Wonderful. And we did get a comment from Victor Zamora, who's down in Las Cruces. And just want to give him a shout out. He's from the Lyft Fund, which is another great CDFI partner. And they are really active down in the southern part of the state as well as statewide. So, hey, Victor. And I did put the link to our EDD website that provides information about COVID-19 response. And let's see, do you see any more, Shani?
See an interesting question here, and I don't know if anyone can answer this right off the bat. It says, I'm at the building point for my urban micro farm, so incoming capital is low. This is my first year as a farmer growing microgreens commercially, but second in business. I'm looking for a structuring and capital building loan. Who could help me? And just based off what I did present earlier, I know the Ventana Fund and Tierra del Sol are both like lenders for construction projects, and that's what that kind of sounds like to me. Joanna?
Yeah, you're right. And I do want to take the opportunity as well to mention that we are more than open to calls to brainstorm about other options. That is what I do a lot, and I love just taking a call and getting background information and discussing that over with our regional reps. Shawnee helps, so we are able to get directions to all of our partners out there, as including DreamSpring and Sandia Credit Union. So we can definitely get into that and figure out what's available.
And I see one more on here that I kind of want to address because I feel like I can do it. It says, considering the climate of today's economy, especially in New Mexico, many small business owners are reluctant to take out loans because the state's continued restrictions and lockdowns. Revenue opportunities are minimalized. Are there any opportunities for grants? And second half of the question, are there any opportunities for grants for startups, female, minority, veteran-owned businesses? So as far as like the grant resources go, there was a lot of small business continuity grants that got pushed out from the state down to several different local counties and municipalities. That information is also on our website under the COVID-19 resources, and also our office or our folks on the hotline can help route you and get you the information for those. And one thing about loans that I want to kind of point out, I know that a lot of people are hesitant about taking them, but when there's not a lot of grant opportunity, you know, the best kind of, it's almost like it's only available option right now is a loan, but you're going to have these low rates at the moment. And some of these loan programs work different, where you're only going to be making interest payments as opposed to having to pay back the principal. And sometimes the principal will come at like the very end of the loan term. So it gives you time to plan while we wait and see what everyone else is up to. Joanna, did you see anything?
I wanted to add something, Shawnee. So I saw on the website of the city of Albuquerque that they have a relief program, and round 3 is going to start on December 7th. I didn't read on the specifics, but any of the business owners can visit the website for City of Albuquerque to learn out about the eligibility requirements. That's the program I know is going on right now on top of the NMFA business relief.
Thank you. And I just put a link into the chat, and this is a link that will take you to sign up for the EDD newsletter. And we're putting out a wrap up of resources that comes out every Friday. And we started this at the beginning of the pandemic to focus on COVID-19 relief that's being provided not only within the state, but nationally. And this has increased to not only look at COVID-19 relief programs, but also general business assistance as well as community assistance. And we're also putting in there webinars that are coming up, as well as news articles. So sign up for that and you will definitely be apprised of what's going on within the state as far and nationally as far as financial opportunities. And I did want to mention one other thing, Shawnee, if I can, but want to make sure that folks know about our collateral assistance program that's run through EDD. And this is a program that we've worked with Sandia and DreamSpring on, but it's a program that allows us to help projects that have a shortfall in collateral. And I think it's been mentioned that we target underserved markets, and in this way we are defining that as projects that are in rural areas, women business owners, minority business owners, veteran business owners, as well as industries that fall within the governor's 9 targeted sectors. And if you are trying to get a loan and have a shortfall in collateral, we can help cover that shortfall. So would love to talk more about that, and you can follow up with us on that. Okay, thanks for letting me get the plug in on that, Shani.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much for your questions. I know we didn't get to everyone, so I will be working with my team. We'll be going ahead and pulling that information. Haven't decided whether or not we're going to answer those individually or maybe send out a whole thing to everyone that's registered, kind of covering answers to those questions. But thank you guys so much for engaging with us. I'm going to pull up my last couple slides here, and I just want to give you guys a few takeaways. Finding financing and capital and building your financial portfolio can be a lot easier if you know where to look. There are Cdfis and credit unions all around New Mexico that offer better rates and a better experience to New Mexicans. Don't get stuck in the thinking that you can't get approved for financing because big banks treat you differently. Find the institutions that are meant to serve you, and start small if you have to. Microloans are a really fantastic option for folks who hear the word loan and want to go running for the hills. In this day and age, not all of us have access to the capital upfront to build or support our businesses. Use the resources around you to make your job as a business owner easier. And shop around and find what fits your experience. There's tons of Cdfis, they've got different programs, and you can find something that's fitting for you. So thank you guys all so much for coming today and engaging with us. I really hope that you found something useful to take back with you and that you found more confidence in what it means to be a business owner in 2020. We hope to see you again on part 2 for business resources, tools to help your business flourish on December 11th, 12:30, Friday, same time. That information is on our website, gonm.biz, and we're also going to send out a survey at the end of today. Please let us know, did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it a good topic? And we've also got a list of other topics that we'd like to gauge your interest on, as well as some open space for you guys to put your feedback in there as well. And we will be pulling those questions, like I said, and we should have a recording, answers to questions out, I'm gonna say, within the week. But thank you guys all so much for coming, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Have a great weekend and enjoy the holiday. Bye, everyone.